Secretary Pritzker is announcing or has announced this morning NEI Next, which is the next iteration of the National Export Initiative. This is a 5-year effort that the administration launched, again, 5 years ago. And the goal, if you all recall, was at the, I believe, the first State of the Union address, the president announced a goal to double exports over 5 years, and that there will be a new national export initiative to help the nation and its many firms and industries move towards that ambitious goal. This, I think, was an unprecedented effort by the administration to bring multiple agencies together. Commerce, ITA, USTR, SBA, Ex-Im Bank. Who am I missing, Peter? State Department, thank you very much. Peter, who was part of that creation, to help companies and regions and states move to that goal. I think what you'll know is critical to that, and you'll hear some of it today, was the effort to continue to, I think, and by the way, I do think that the Obama administration, building on some of the things we heard Ambassador Hills and Secretary Daley talk about, I think that this administration has actually undertaken one of the boldest trade agendas we've seen in a long time. Inside the NEI was a commitment to enter in a number of free trade agreements, of which 3 have been passed under this administration. In this was stepped up efforts to increase financing to small, mid-sized firms, including getting SBA and all their SBDCs to get into the export space and increase a lot more volume and capacities within the Ex-Im Bank, which is currently up for reauthorization. There was also a new effort to increase capacity for states. And many states were, after the recession, had cut back their state trade offices and trade operations. And under this administration and with Congress, they passed something called STEP, which was run out of SBA, to get states to help more small and mid-sized companies get into the export game. I think you'll hear from the Secretary today that there's no doubt enormous progress the nation has made on this front. The U.S. now has hit record export levels over the last consecutive years. And in fact, the recent trade numbers from the last quarter or last month had record services exports. At the same time, and I think we have actually closed the trade deficit. But I do believe, because of the strong currents, the increasing strength of the U.S. dollar, and the sort of slowdown in some of the international markets, I think the U.S. is behind in achieving its export goal. However, I think that for many of us in the field, particularly for the many cities and metropolitan areas that have been part of the Global Cities Exchange and the Export Initiative, the Metropolitan Export Initiative, it was really important that this administration put out a very visible goal around exports to raise awareness of this important opportunity. And I think many regional leaders, including Brookings, is less fixated on the national goal, but more hopeful that we will, as part of the need for a culture shift, the need to make the U.S. more globally fluent and globally savvy, that we need to see a consistent national elevation of the importance of trade, both in exports and investments, and the constant leveling of the playing field for firms, which Lee Benson talked very well about this on this panel. Thank you very much. In this moment, we are not going to be able to have Q&A with her, so it'll just be an interview format. I wish we all had lunch waiting for you outside. I'm sure stomachs are growling at this moment. We're in the Cronkite School of Business and Mass Communications, right? And we should have like 24-hour news feed coming through here. Great. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I wanted to first. Good afternoon, Secretary Pritzker. I just wanted to take a moment to really welcome you to this group. I know how busy you are today, and we really appreciate your taking the time to participate in the Global Cities Initiative Forum here in Phoenix, co-sponsored by the Brookings Institution and JPMorgan Chase. I wanted to note that I had a special opportunity to work alongside the Secretary at the start of her tenure. And I have to say, she is the real deal. She is honestly, she brings enormous passion, optimism, curiosity to her task at Commerce, and that's coupled with an incredible relevant experience to the job. She is a business leader and an entrepreneur. She has long been involved in public service, and I think one of the most important credentials that she was a regional civic leader in Chicago, having chaired some efforts to improve public education, which we all talked about earlier today, and the importance of closing the skills gaps working with industry. So in other words, this is a Secretary Pritzker, who really appreciates both the global and the local and gets the ecosystem that helps firms and industries thrive. So I really want to have all of you join me in welcoming Secretary Pritzker to the Global Cities Forum. The Secretary, it's all yours.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Amy. And hello, everyone. I am so sorry I could not be there in person, but thank you for having me via video. I have great respect for the work that Brookings does, and I'm so excited about how the Global Cities Initiative is empowering leaders in cities like Phoenix to strengthen regional economies. In 2010, President Obama's vision was that American businesses could drive economic growth and create good jobs by increasing their exports. That led to the launch of the National Export Initiative, which has been a remarkable success. We've had 4 straight record-breaking years of exports. We hit an all-time high of $2.3 trillion last year, up $700 billion from 2009. And nearly 1/3 of our economic growth since mid-2009 has been driven by exports. And most importantly, just 4 years after NEI was launched, 1.6 million more Americans have export-supported jobs, bringing the total to 11.3 million, the highest in 20 years. So in addition, exports have been the driving force behind growth in communities across the country. In fact, exports account for nearly all of the post-recession growth in cities like Youngstown, Detroit, and Kansas City. But after all the progress that we have made, we still have more work to do. That's why today I am pleased to announce NEI Next. It's a data-based, customer service-driven initiative to ensure that more American businesses can fully capitalize on markets that are opening up around the world. NEI Next has focused on 5 strategies. We will help businesses find their next customer abroad. We will increase the efficiency of a company's first and next shipment. We will help firms finance their next order. We will help communities integrate trade and investment into their next growth plans. And finally, we will open up the next big markets around the world while ensuring a level playing field. Of course, we'll continue to partner with organizations like Brookings to advance all 5 of our NEI Next objectives. The Global Cities Initiative is a great example, and I applaud the 20 regions, both urban and rural, that are embracing public-private partnerships as they integrate trade and investment into economic development plans. The Commerce Department is excited to support this effort, which will ensure that more metropolitan areas have the information and tools they need to help companies export and create jobs. We want to see more successful exporters like JWB Manufacturing, based there in Tempe. That firm produces blades for carpentry tools and precision machinery. Our commercial service team helped them break into new markets. In fact, JWB now sells in 12 countries in every corner of the world, and exports now account for 40% of their business. Owner Jeff Barth recently told us that there is, and I quote, "There is nothing to fear in exporting outside our borders. My international clients have been nothing but gracious, and I encourage other small businesses to realize the power of exports to help their business succeed." Ultimately, NEI Next will create the environment in which more business owners and their workers adopt that same mindset in cities across America. I thank you for your work to grow our economy on the front lines and look forward to continuing to work with you. Thank you.
Great. I think we have time for just a few questions to the Madam Secretary. And I wanted to say, first of all, this announcement of NEI Next comes at a really apropos time. We had a great conversation today among the business, civic, political leadership here in Greater Phoenix and in some of the other markets like Portland. Milwaukee is here, Louisville is here, San Diego is here, talking about the actions they need to take to help their companies enter into new markets, as you said. I think there's a real eagerness now to have the federal government come and swing in behind in support of their efforts to act. So could you take a few minutes to elaborate a little further on what is new inside NEI Next? What are maybe some examples of some specific new programs or initiatives under this, around the 5 objectives you mentioned, that can help them be more successful?
Well, absolutely. First of all, some of the things that are new are the data that we're going to collect. We're looking to be far more specific with the data objectives so that we collect not just the dollar value of exports that we've got, but also the number of companies that are exporting. More specific data about the regions that are exporting, more specific information about where we're having successes in which markets for Made in America products. So data is a big part of what's new in this initiative. We're also going to have more targeted promotional efforts like the Look South initiative. Look South is an effort that we have to increase efforts by various groups to various businesses as well as metropolitan and state efforts to export to our 11 free trade partners in Central and South America. We're also working to increase a number of other efforts that we're doing. So, for example, we're also launching a new web portal that will provide greater information both about companies that are exporting as examples to be used by by those who are interested in initiating exports. We're also going to be we're expanding our foreign commercial service presence into more markets so that we can help more businesses in new markets like in Africa or in Asia, markets where we haven't had a presence, as well as expanding the footprint of our presence. So there's a number of things that we're doing. We're working with the Department of Homeland Security on having one digital platform that we use for filling out forms so that the entire government will use only one electronic form so that goods don't get waylaid at the border. So this is an effort that has many, many tactical components to it that fit under the 5 strategic initiatives.
Great, and I want to build on your comments about some of these new markets, particularly the increase in the foreign service capacity in additional markets, and then look south. In fact, this group today had an opportunity to hear from Secretary Bill Daley and Ambassador Carla Hills about sort of the fruits of the NAFTA Pact and some of the new opportunities that many of these markets like Phoenix and others that want to not only strengthen their ties in the North American economy, but also into Asia and the Pacific Rim. I know that these are areas that the administration is very much focused on. Can you say more about how NEI Next will build on the high-level economic dialogue with Mexico or reposition to Asia in ways that benefits a lot of the folks in this room?
Let me talk first about the high-level economic dialogue. For example, some of the things that we've identified with the Mexican government are what we are calling low-hanging fruit projects along the border so that we can expedite the movement of goods across the border. We've also talked about how to make, with the Department of Homeland Security, how do we make entry into the United States? This isn't per se just for Mexico, but for any traveler. As you know, long-haul travel into the United States is an export, and expenditures by foreign travelers in the United States is an export. And we're working with the Department of Homeland Security to make the Customs and Border experience when you first arrive in the United States more hospitable. In terms of our markets in Asia, we're expanding our presence so that more companies will be able to have American foreign commercial service there to help them as they want to go in market. One of the things we're doing with NEI Next is we've put on 100 case studies of various markets where various products, American products, are in high demand. And so that's something that then companies can look at, work with their U.S. Export Assistance Center, which is a local center that's available to companies, and then work with our Foreign Commercial Service to then bring their products in market. So there's lots of things that we're doing, and it's very, very exciting. And there's more to come. And one of the great things is I talked with our District Export Council members today as well, and they're giving us additional suggestions of projects that we can take on. So I don't want folks to think this is an announcement, this is static. This is an initiative that is alive and dynamic, and we need continued input as to how we can be more effective. And obviously, Amy, you work very closely with the economic development officers in the metropolitan communities that you're active in. They're on the front lines. We want to know what can we be doing to help them and to give them better service. That's the whole idea here, is that we're listening to our customer and we're in continuous improvement.
And I think there's real eagerness by economic development leaders, business leaders around the country to have that partnership and feedback loop with their local USIACs and increasingly in Washington. So thank you for saying that. I do want to maybe ask you a question about industries. And I think one of the aha moments for some of the leaders in the Phoenix area was how big services was a part of their export economy. 40% of the exports here are service-oriented, particularly in financial services. It's one of the rapidly growing segments, fastest growing segments here in the market. And then other cities and regions in the Global Cities Exchange. Des Moines, in fact, Atlanta, others are also very service-oriented. So give me a sense of, beyond just helping the next, make the next shipment easier, what will NEI Next do to support services firms and how they can, and universities even, and how they can be more competitive globally?
Well, so for example, I've led a trade mission one of the trade missions I led was both to Mexico and to the Middle East. On our trips, we had services firms that were part of our delegation. And in the Middle East, we had architectural firms, we had engineering firms, we had all different kinds of services groups that were able to bring their capacity to those markets. So there are many ways that we can help services firms. We lead, and it's not just a secretarially led delegations. We do other delegations that are led by other members. And frankly, our U.S. Export Assistance Center can be helping any kind of service organization. So there's a lot that we can do.
Great. And I'm going to close with one other final question, which is really about the partnership between NEI Next, all the different agencies in NEI Next, with states and regions. As you know, there will be about 28 metropolitan areas and their state partners that will participate in the Global Cities Exchange. And as part of that commitment, they are adopting integrated exports and foreign direct investment plans to help boost economic growth. Mm-hmm. This is consistent with your last objective, which is to help regions pursue more integrated exports FDI efforts. Can you say more about what that partnership looks like to regions?
Well, just take foreign direct investment. We're building out now the capacity to help foreign companies that want to bring their product here to the United States. And we're through our Select USA effort. And that's very exciting to see. In fact, yesterday I was reviewing the business plan of that and the execution plan so that we can help foreign companies come to the United States, as well as helping American businesses take their products and their goods and services to the rest of the world. Obviously, both are important for regions and cities to grow. Today, what's interesting is in America, 5.6 million American jobs are in U.S. subsidiaries of foreign corporations. These are very good jobs, and so that's as much a part of economic growth as is helping American companies take their goods and services abroad. So this is a holistic approach.
Well, that's great and very helpful. And I want to say, as you know, we believe that despite all the great progress the country has made on exports, there's still a lot more work to do. It still requires a major culture shift in many of our communities, our businesses, our leaders to make global trade in their economic DNA, as I've heard you say. And so I would say that we're in it together, and you can count on many of the regions and states in this room, their eagerness to partner with you on NEI Next. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we will be in touch.
Well, Amy, thank you. Thank you so much. And I would just say, together we can really build on the record of success that we've had over the last 4 years. And so I look forward to working with everyone in the room there and with you as well at Brookings. And thank you very much for having me. And again, I apologize I couldn't be there with you in person, but I'm so glad that we have technology that allows me to join you right now.
Thank you very much, Secretary Pritzker. And I think to the rest of you in the room, I just want to say thank you so much again for your time and participation today. And we at Brookings and Global Cities look forward to working with all of you on your global trade ambitions. Thank you so much and have a great day.